Hey, my name is Derek Ripper. I'm going to talk very briefly about scales in the first position. So the great thing about the guitar is once you know the basic scales, let's just talk about major scales. In the first position, you actually know them all the way up the fretboard and everywhere. So that's a great place to start. It's a great place to do ear training, to get used to the strange arrangement of strings on the guitar, because unfortunately they're not all equal like on the violin. You've got this funny gap between the G and the B strings, which kind of messes everything up a little bit. You get used to playing all the different keys in the open position, and then you can start to shift them up the neck. So first we need to look at just putting down the fingers in a way that's as easy and light as possible, because if you set this up from the beginning, when you're still just playing one or two notes or simple major scales, it's going to make everything later a lot easier. The first thing is the placement of the finger. The best place to place the finger is just behind the fret. So you'll hear if you're all the way back here at the nut and you try and pluck, you have to press down really hard to get a good sound. And if that becomes the habit, later on when you're trying to play something really crazy fast and you have to use so much tension, you're going to run up against problems. So you sort it out early on, you make it easy early on, and that makes the whole journey very smooth. So best place, not on the fret either, because you're going to get a dead note, just behind. So the first thing we can do is just play individual notes in the open position. The open position means that the first finger corresponds to the first fret, second, third, fourth. Now the first thing you'll notice about the way that I'm playing these is I'm using one finger at a time. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we call this emptying the finger. When I put the second finger down, I empty the first finger. And when I put the third finger down, I empty the second. If we do it like the violinists sometimes do it, we'll have all 4 fingers down. That means you're using a whole lot of muscles to hold down a whole lot of notes that you're actually not playing. So we always empty and have one finger at a time. So the best way to practice this is without the right hand, just feel your way around and get used to doing that. Then you can practice combinations, let's say 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, and then we can move down a string. Let's go to the B string with 1, 2, 3, 4, and just have a bit of fun. Move yourself around the guitar, get used to emptying the fingers, get used to playing the different combinations. Just feel it out. So once you've got a feel for moving around the guitar and emptying the fingers that you're not using one finger at a time, placing yourself behind the fret as much as possible. You don't want to get pedantic about it. Sometimes you're going to be a little bit further. Just have that idea in your head that the best place is just behind the fret, because that's going to use the least effort. Then we can start actually plucking the string. You have your own way of plucking the string. If you're using plectrum, if you want to play with a thumb, if you're playing with the fingers, that's up to you. Let's start doing exactly the same thing, bringing the emptying into the plucking. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You could do 1, 3, 4. So we could do 1, 3, 4 on each of the strings. All the time emptying. There are a lot of ideas in the technique of classical guitar about how to hold the left hand, a particular position. Actually, the best position for any instrument is a position that can easily be changed. In other words, not some fixed position like I must always hold my hand like this and have it right angles to the fretboard, but any position that's going to work, that's going to get you from many, many different things in the easiest possible way. So you need to be as flexible as possible. So when we start to play, before we even put down a single note, the thumb is touching the back of the neck. We can simply do that. And that means we have a hand that's ready to play. It can move backwards and forwards, it can move all the way up there, or the thumb can slide in different positions. We're not yet holding the guitar, we're not gripping it yet, the thumb's not pushing, it's simply there, and it can rotate that way, it can go up and down, there's no fuss. So now let's put one finger down in the first position. First finger can go there, second finger can go there, we empty the first finger, third finger, and fourth finger. Still the thumb doesn't have to push. Now we use a little bit more pressure, because just enough to get the tone. There's a little experiment you can do to see just how much pressure you need. If you touch your finger just lightly, without pushing the string down onto the fret, and you pluck, that's going to give you a dead note. Now add just a tiny bit more pressure, and keep adding until you get a sound. And that's as hard as you need to press. 9 times out of 10, we're pressing much harder than we actually need to. So let's try that on the second finger. The third finger. And the fourth finger. So if every now and again, every few days, just remind yourself, go back to that and remind yourself how much pressure you actually need. And the thumb is nice and easy there. So we can take the first finger there, we can slide it up all the way to the 12th fret, to the 5th, 7, 4, 5, 2, 4, 1. And that's your basic open position. So let's look at that from behind, just to see how the thumb is moving. So the thumb, when we're moving, can actually let go. You can exaggerate it when you're showing yourself, but you're not going to do it that much, but just not gripping. So if you just give these few tips a little bit of thought every now and again, especially in the context of what you're doing, perhaps it's in the context of a chord progression you're playing, or some melodic work, or some scale work, take a mode that you're learning, check about the emptying of the strings, check with the thumb if you can actually just come off the board with the fingers, how your movements go. Just give these a little bit of thought every now and again and see if it has a good effect.